Hello. In this topic I will cover on the framework of the information system and data shortly which means terms and concepts, how to analyze and how to understand the terms and concepts. The terminology is generally very flexible and developing on the field of information systems. Information technology terminology especially changing all the time. But this is not anything which is very new. And of course, the question of words, so-called words, which means terms, and the meaning of these words, this means the concept behind the terms, has been analyzed and need to be a little bit clarified to understand or to frame how to understand terminology and concept in our field. First of all, let's say that some 100 years ago, when the standardization of the terminology started and standardization of different fields started, the pioneering was chemistry, but engineering in general followed. People tried to find out so-called right words. Which is the right word to say about things? Like, what is the stone, or what is a book, or what is a machine, or what is system, and so on and so on. Basis of this was understanding that all the object of the word might be named, like clock or trousers, whatever. Engineering relied on this kind of systematic understanding of the subject matter, to know right words. Of course, many of us know that the doctors still use Latin terms to name different sicknesses. But how to deal with information management and information systems, which is very rapidly changing field? In the middle of the last century, mainly philosophy of language developed. Ludwig Wittgenstein was, of course, the principal author of this in his philosophical investigations and the private language argument he made there. This kind of understanding that there is a so-called general agreement of the right word, like it was in French Academy or in Russian language or in German, was somehow not so strongly founded anymore. And people start to use more freely terms to name concepts. And of course, new fields like information technology and information science in general is dealing with this. Today, we are not sure that anybody can establish so-called right language, so-called right terms for words. Therefore, it's difficult to say what is information to me, what is information to you, and so on. Not such an objectivity. Of course, there is different problem which dealing with the philosophy of science. This means that there are different paradigms of the science, and there is incommensurability between the large branches of subject matters, like, for example, let's say physics or natural sciences and social sciences. Social sciences more tend to create concept, to conceptualize the world, to name it. Then natural sciences not so much dealing with a conceptualization. Today, this trend to name objectively word is not very popular anymore. Of course, engineering is doing this, and this is called onomasiological understanding. Today, more common or more, let's say, has more roots is socio-cognitive terminology. This socio-cognitive terminology doesn't say that one knows the right word, but it establishes so-called unit of understanding. Unit of understanding. This means that the concept is basic, and concept has some kind of understanding behind it. For example, what is the application? Software application. What it is? And if you say application, which means what kind of application? Application form, application of software, so on. And of course, when you're speaking between your colleagues, the application is one. If you speak to another, for example, like clerks, they mean perhaps different things. This understanding is framed. And between the frame, of course, there is incommensurability, and people use different terms to understand what is the concept. But basically, what we are dealing in this information technology, information management, and information science so-called framework is that these three frames, or these three types of frames, must be understood in the whole. By my mind, helping to understand different people, what they mean by the words they're using. By my mind, there is great need to so-called learn the language, to understand what kind of socio-cognitive framework one uses when he or she explains what he is doing. Of course, first of all, this is the basic. You need to look on the onomasiological point of view, first of all. And in our branch, in information technology and information management, the basic understanding of the concept is either thing or activity. These two things are basic concepts how to start analyzing.